Taylor, I'll let you in on how I'm feeling right here. And
All right, do it.
Ike Irish made a play, a sharp line drive hit out to center, and Bristol Carter comes breaking in, and he lays out, and they score a run, and they're trying to get the guy from first all the way into home, and Ike picks the ball up in center field, backing Bristol up, and he crow hops, and he one hops Freilich to the plate, and Freilich makes the tag to cut the runner down. Taylor, I tell you this, a lot of people out there might disagree, but him coming in as a catcher and giving himself up to right field this year, giving himself up to first base when Coop got hurt last year, and being a guy to move around the field in order to help his team win games when he is the first to second projected catcher in the MLB draft in the first round. He's going elsewhere so he can get other sticks in the lineup. And he's making plays and winning plays, and he's hitting bombs. And some people might disagree with this take with all the great players that Auburn baseball has had in previous years, but I think he is the greatest baseball player to ever play for Auburn University.
And that's not a bad take. It really isn't. It's one of those that I know he's going to be gone next year. I mean, it's as soon as the season ended last year, like, this, we better enjoy Ike now because we're not going to have him anymore. But if it were possible in the way that the NCAA is going about it with football and basketball and all that, it wouldn't be out of the question to say probably 20 years from now, because, by the time the show ends, we could, check social media and the NCAA has done something else, proposal wise, whether it be playoffs, whether it be, did you play 1/4 of middle school basketball, then you get 5 more years of eligibility. I don't know. It's something weird. It's hard to keep up with, but if it were possible and there was we're a GM of a college baseball team where academics, are what they are, eligibility is, non-existent. Let's sign Ike Irish to one of those Shohei Ohtani deals. Let's get him in here for 10 years. Let's give him, the keys to the Yellowwood factory. Let's give him, any Lynch Toyota car you want. I'm sure there's probably, you can have half a stock of Apple. Tim Cook's probably going to go in and pitch in as well. But so that's not as bad of a take as we would say. And of course, I feel like you kind of knew where you were going with that, because we got 2 comments in here now. And of course, they're both from Brett. He says one is Tim Hudson, ? And then the other one is Frank Thomas. So you said Ike Irish is the best player that Auburn baseball has ever had.
Yeah.
Where does he compare, or where do those two compare to what Ike Irish has done in his career?
Oh, man. Obviously, we know what Tim and Frank are all about, and Frank Thomas being in the Hall of Fame, Tim Hudson, and what he did in the postseason for the Auburn Tigers, that can't go unnoticed, right?
Yeah.
The reason I have Ike as the greatest is simply because I think Ike is on his way to the show, and I think it's going to be quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Yeah.
And what he's done at Auburn, even throughout the 8-22 in the SEC. We live in the NIL era where Ike could have went to Fayetteville. He could have went to College Station. He could have went to Baton Rouge like Chris Stanfield did. He could have went to a lot of these other SEC schools after 8-22 and said, hey, you know what? I want to go somewhere else besides Auburn, and I want to try to win a national championship. But for him to stay at Auburn and give up his position and go out to right field because Chase Freilich needed to be in the lineup, and he continues to produce and produce and produce. Y'all, he's got, 18 home runs now, Taylor?
Yeah.
18 bombs.
And
He's hitting
is he up to 58 RBI now? I know he had 57 at some point in the game, but I think
Yeah.
with his home run he may have 58. But
So almost 60,
he's got all that now.
Almost 60 ribbies. All right. He missed 10 days, 2 weeks, something like that earlier in the season.
Mm-hmm.
So if you add those 2 weeks in, oh boy, Ike Irish is, I don't know how he wasn't the SEC player of the year, but then again, I do, because it's the name across the front of the jersey, Taylor.
Yeah.
And whatever they want to say about how that doesn't matter, it does. And if Ike Irish would have had LSU or Texas or A&M or Arkansas across the front of his jersey, he would have been SEC player of the year. But I look at Ike, and it's major league hitting. And he's doing it in the best conference in the country. And he makes it look so effortless. And the one thing after his freshman year is they were like, well, Ike he doesn't elevate the ball. He doesn't get the ball out of the park. Well, now he gets the ball out of the park, y'all.
Yeah.
And so his game is elite. It's really to the point of going into the postseason. I was like, I don't know if Ike is going to get pitched to. He might get the Aaron Judge treatment, Taylor.
Yeah.
Because that's how people view him in college baseball, as they say, okay, well, I don't want to pitch to Ike. So I would rather take my chances with Cooper McMurray. And if Cooper McMurray's doing what he did this weekend, in my opinion, that makes Auburn really, really difficult to beat.
Yeah, that's definitely a choice, knowing that, I'm going to get around Ike Irish to go to Cooper McMurray, who can also damage a baseball to Suge Jordan. I mean, it's impressive. And you got another one here from Thomas Manville, another good comment here. If you can make Bo Jackson type throws from the outfield, you absolutely have to be in the conversation for the best of all time. So is that kind of, another thought, which, we've talked about how great he is at the plate. And this was a thought I had mid-season too about, he could have left after 8-22, but he was like, no, I want to win a championship in the orange and blue. And he's, he's been very vocal. He hasn't given a lot of postseason interviews, or post-game interviews rather.
Yep.
But every single one, like, you can tell, even though he's from Hudsonville, Michigan, that boy's a Tiger. And, he wants to win in this uniform. He wants to win for this university. He wants to win for head coach Butch Thompson. And it's going to be hard without him next year. But, it's just, the theme of the college game right now. And, I got to give props to him too. I'll ask you this question too, because this is, fresh on the mind too, because it happened over the weekend. Jack Caglione, who played at Florida last year, like in a Gators uniform last year, just got the call up from the Royals. Do you think Ike makes it to the show? And I'm talking about a time frame matter.
Yeah.
Do you think he makes it to the show before in a fewer time or more time than Jack Caglione did?
Depends on what organization he goes to.
Mm-hmm.
I think it could be the same process, Taylor. I think it could be, maybe I'm going to go a little bit later, just because Cags hits the ball with so much power. And he's just absolutely raking balls to another planet right now down in the minors. So they had to bring him up, because I think their first baseman was hitting like 158 on the year, and there was no power. There was no on base percentage there for the Royals. So I think they were destined to make that move and say, okay, we need to give this kid a shot. Depending on what organization he goes to, I think it's going to be a similar track. I do. I just think that Ike, the way he hits, it's going to transfer over to the majors, and he's going to get in there with a hitting coach, and they're going to fix the little tweaks in his swing that he needs to get adjusted, and he's going to do great things, and he's going to play Major League Baseball for many, many years. He reminds me so much of Juan Soto at the plate, with the confidence and the swagger and the eye at the plate, with not chasing, not getting cheated, waiting on his pitch, identifying hitters' counts, knowing what's coming. A lot of that stuff comes from film review, BP, and just knowing the game and loving it and studying it. and that's Ike Irish to a T. That throw the other night, I mean, boy, that was an absolute bullet. And that's a great Bo Jackson point. And I knew I would get some flack when I said that because, we know the greats for Auburn baseball and Auburn sports. And I just feel like if he had that fourth year, it would actually be cemented. But he's not going to get that fourth year. But if he had another year to go, it would really be to the point of where you would have to build another statue next to Frank Thomas outside of Plainsman, because I think he's that good of a baseball